What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And today's guest is Tony L. Hello, Tony.
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm loving life, man. I'm sensational. Life is
Well,
good. Life
well, I
is good,
definitely do
buddy. So,
appreciate you inviting me here, Gary.
hey, so I'm going to read Tony's bio so we know who we're playing with. And then we're just going to jump in and have some fun. Is that okay, Tony?
Yes, sir.
Cool biz. All right. Tony is a lover of history and has never lost his curiosity nor his fear of asking why. His published article, What Happened to America's Independence, was published in Christian Voice magazine, and he is the creator of the Project Third Eye Opened online commentary news blog. Tony loves being an American and believes that it suffers truly from its people's lack of knowledge of what truly makes America exceptional, its fundamental God endowed principles recognized in the founding documents, and that there's a silent war to remove these principles from existence. Tony is a staunch believer that once one truly understands the true why of an event, then there is only one question of how one is to be best respond. As one who has published witness to the orchestrated degeneration of America, the greatest nation in history, the only nation to be organically created and established for men to be free, ordained through the Creator, and unalienable rights, I have been stunned and saddened by which too many of us have been subject to the greatest con, resulting in the relinquishing of our cherished birthright. Thomas Jefferson once challenged us to challenge the boldness, even the existence of God. I've never lost the urge to be boldly inquisitive. Tony is a huge learner of real history and truly believes that gross lack of the knowledge of real history, particularly of American history, along with finance and the ability to think critically, are the primary elements that are destroying this nation. If Tony had one wish, it would be to reverse this tragic situation. That is a great wish, my friend.
Yes. Which one should I pick? The lack of knowledge of real history, particularly in regards to our country's history. Um, what I've discovered on my journey, and I'm still on it, is to understand that there's been a bullseye on our back ever since 1765. I mean, before the actual 17 um, the 1787, um, because people got to understand where the world was before America. It was for the tyrants, um, kings, servants. Um, there was no individual thought. That there was no. People could say Europe is Christian based, but not as it was treating its people. America changed the paradigm and really was a God fearing country, and all these documents denote that. Um, and it saw that man did not get its right from other men. It got its rights through the Almighty Creator, and that was a true game changer. And that has made everybody else angry due to the fact that we've been very successful. Because during the time that we're going through now, we could say our best times are behind us, and that's up for debate. Um, at the end of the day, man still has to change, opportunity to change. It's just a matter of do we decide to change? But at the end of the day, our country occupies less than 4% of the world's um, planet, but yet we dominate everybody. I mean, Europe tried to um, become a super state for that main purpose, to dominate us economically in particular. That hasn't happened because they still had the individual thoughts and individual goals and individual desires, just as the 50 states did and do. Um, so even though they wanted to do its best to unseat us economically, China is looking to unseat us not just economically but also militarily. They're having a real hard time doing that because we are who we are. We have a document that says that we had the right to think individually. We had the right to life, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And our founders put into our documents say that what you make, you could profit from, and there's no limit to your ability to do that. Russia had to figure that out. China has to figure that out. Europe has to figure that out. Europe is going backwards for all intents and purposes. Um, so yeah, if I wanted to change one thing, is be the knowledge, the reverence of America in the eyes and the hearts of the American people.
What happened? I mean, you bring up so much. You bring up so many dates. You bring up so many issues as far as where we are. But I mean, what happened? If we have this beautiful document, we have the people who were brilliant. I mean, our founding fathers, right? Brilliant to put this together. What happened? When did the wheels come off the bus? Was it when, you know, when J.P. Morgan jumped in, bailed out United States and incorporated it? Was it when they created the Fed? I mean, does it go back past that? Is it Civil War? I
Um,
mean, when did the
well,
wheels come off the bus?
well, fundamentally, men have the opportunity to go left or go right. They have the ability to choose. So fundamentally, we can start there. But there's people have to ask the question: how do we get here? Um, our education system teaches us about events. They don't really tell us how do we get to the event. So when you look at how America was created, the story is that a bunch of pilgrims came over here and did start setting up shop as though no one else was already here. And there was no one who financed that journey. So that's all fallacy. One, the pilgrims journey was financed by England. So they came over here with a contract. The founders, for all intents and purposes, reneged on that contract. They told England, we don't want to live by your rules anymore, and we're going to establish this country. And here's our Declaration of Independence. That's why they had to do everything in silence and in private. So in so doing that, they reneged on the contract. They entered this war, very costly war, that and we are still paying for that. Each period of time, the founders were given the opportunity to repay that debt. That's why when you read the Constitution, it says that the Articles of Confederation then came to the Constitution said that we will still abide by the debt owed by the other agreement, that being the so when that happened, we had, as you mentioned, 1913 come in, and the IRS was established. You had the Federal Reserve established, um, and then came these wars. You had World War One, you had World War Two, you had the so-called economic crash in the 20s, and all of this was precipitated by the fact that we still owe that debt, and we still haven't satisfied that debt to the international bankers from way back when. Um, because when you look at what Lincoln did, Lincoln went into more debt to the point that he had to create his own currency, which got him shot.
Yeah.
Kennedy tried to do the same thing, which got him shot. Reagan kind of whispered that he he had a bullet go past his head, and he was never the same. Um, so that's one thing. After World War II, our whole education system changed. Because when you hear about our grandparents being able to raise a family, um, till the soil, all of this with sixth grade education, how's that possible? Because they had real education, and they were able to start a business with a sixth grade education. They were able to be president with a sixth grade education because they had real education back then. After World War II, the whole education system changed because the people who are in control of all this, they wanted to make sure that Americans lost their fervent knowledge of who we are, because that's what got us up out of bed to go fight those wars and win, because we were fighting for something. So they had to work to get that out of our head. So at the period of time, and it's still happening, look at the education system now compared to, like, I've done this. Go back to the 1960s, tests, grammar, elementary. I couldn't pass it. They had real education back then. So moving forward, the education from the highest academia, college education, all the way down, they took over the history courses. They took over the legal system with the bar, which is British accredited registry. That's not American. So they took over the entertainment system. They took over the history, the education system, and then took over the legal system. And that's all to reprogram us to move away from Americanism to something totally different.
You keep saying they. And in some of your notes and some of the readings, and I've listened to your lot of stuff, you talk about shining a light on different things, different consequential and sinister events and the perpetrators of these things. So in your mind, who's the they? Who are these people? I mean, is it our government? Is it world government? I mean, who is trying to create all this destruction to our country?
Well, I mean, names I don't know, but it is a they. It's not a he, it's not a she, and it's not really necessarily a people who are sitting down um, in a star chamber. It could be as simple as people with the similar ideas, because when you look at world institutions like um, the United Nations, the United Nations was an afterthought after the League of Nations that failed. I think Woodrow Wilson um, I think it was Woodrow Wilson
I think so
really
too.
wanted that. So he's an American. He was a president of the United States. So he wanted that. So is it America against the world? It's an ideology. You got one side that says man should be free. You have other side that say man should not be free. Those are the two sides that are at this world war, this global galaxy conflict. That's what it is. So when I say they, you have to look at the people who don't want us to succeed and us. So, like I said, it's not anybody sitting down in a dark room somewhere. It's ideology. So when you look at how the the UN is put together, and you see the ones who are running it, none of them have our belief system. Not the Europeans, not the Asians, not the Arabs. None of them have our belief system. So it's like us against the world. Even Europe is against us because again, their ideology is not ours. And the reason why people want to come to our country because our ideology is not theirs. You know, so that's the battle.
Yeah. I do, believe that it did start a long time ago. I mean, I think the current incarnation, I think there's been many different groups after the United States and what we stand for. I think the current incarnation started in the 1920s. I think the progressive movement came out real hard and they kind of got shot down. Um, and then they reared their ugly head again in the 50s, late 50s, 60s. They went to the school system, like you said, and they started indoctrinating through the school system, changing that, working on the children, working on the nuclear family. Um, and I think what that's done is created this wave kind of going in the wrong direction of what the founders had wanted, and it
Right.
it worked. It took, what, 60 years, 70 years of
And
indoctrination,
counting.
but it's working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you take step back, you gotta look at, like Lincoln said, the only way that we are to be defeated is by suicide. So that's what's happening. It's gradual suicide. Like the the educational system or the thought, the progressive thought that is not governing our education system was allowed into our educational system, you know, and Obama was allowed, he was voted in. People listened to him, says, I want him to be president. So I'm gonna put my money, my resources. Americans did this and push this man forward. Americans pushed forward Woodrow Wilson. Americans pushed forward all these people that took us off the rail, including Biden. And that's a story that needs to be written. Um, so it's not like some foreigners coming in over the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, doing this to us. They may be doing this through idealism, but they are finding a home. Because people got to understand the Democrat Party is openly supported by Social Democrat Party. It's openly supported by the Communist Party of the United States. It's not a secret. It's really not a secret, but yet they keep getting voted for by so many people who may not go to their rallies, or of course the media is not going to show their rallies and show, Communist Party USA flag and paraphernalia. So people who are not really paying attention and thinking about it, they don't see that. But again, it's not like foreigners are coming and doing this, for a throat. They're finding allies within our country, within our institutions, even within our government.
Well, that's why the words say against enemies foreign and domestic. That's why those words are in there. And you look back, I mean, media has always been a powerful thing. I mean, shoot, you can go back to the Grecian times, Roman times, you can go back to throughout history, the media, whether it's a town crier, whoever owned, you look at Hearst. I mean, shit, Hearst started the Spanish American War pretty much through his media outlets because that was
Yep.
beneficial to his
Yep.
empire. But the media, it seems like now, is the most powerful and slanted I've ever seen. I mean, Zuckerberg comes out and just flat out tells everybody, look, these guys put the hammer to me hard to silence all the stuff in 2020, right? They literally put the hammer down on me, and no one cares. It's the most bizarre thing to me that
Yeah.
you
Well, you
would
gotta
think
figure out
the media would be
who
screaming.
actually saw that interview. I mean, is it just people on the right? Because I mean, I doubt if ABC and CNN and NBC showed that. So that's where the majority of people are getting their news from. I mean, God bless them. I don't really agree with a lot of today's version of Fox is putting out there, but if that's all the right has to go to, we're in trouble.
Well, I think that's why podcasts like this, getting to hear from people like you, right? I mean that most people, it'd be hard to get exposed to your thinking and what you have to say if it wasn't for the podcasting, if it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for you to be able to get your blog out
Mhm.
there and stuff like that. I mean, I think we're starting to see that traditional media is just dying, right? I mean, especially after 2024. It's like, God, you guys just lied your asses off to me. I don't trust you at all, right? I mean, you see it in the ratings. People just,
But
they,
where's the accountability?
what's that?
Where's the accountability?
Yeah, there isn't it. That's the thing. And even you would think that they would at least come out and say, look, all right, we lied. But at the time, we thought maybe some of that might have had some legitimacy to it, right? But
Right,
instead, they're doubling down on it. They're doubling down, and you go, how stupid are you people? You can see that no one wants to believe you guys anymore,
right, right.
and
But
I think, but it
they
shows
still got listeners.
it shows how strong the media is, though, that
Yeah,
people are
very much
still
so.
believing this stuff.
Right, right. I agree, and that's a problem. I mean, families are being broken up because of ideology, and that has never been the issue before. I mean, so you got to get the devil his due, and I do. And when you look at the success that they have had since Obama in particular, um, it's mind-boggling. But again, when you remove God from the classroom, as Lincoln said, the what was taught in the classroom one generation will be the policies followed in another, in the next. So you see that, and I saw this coming when I was in high school. I said, and my parents used to get on me because they was Democrat because from the South, and they said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Do y'all not?" I mean, I didn't say this because they're my folks. So I said, I just looked at them. I said, "I don't know, but I know if the schools are teaching what they're teaching, and that don't change, all of this is going to be memory." And it is because the inertia, you just can't fight it, because it's like a meal. And as long as that meal is processing, there's really not much you could do to stop that. It's just the inertia of ignorance. And you really can't. How can we get to a point in our country that we are actually having a frivolous debate on what is a woman? That's the inertia. That's the inertia. People, how we get here? This was coming. This was
I,
coming when
I
when when Obama said, "I want the ability to have women marry women and men marry men." I said, "It's over." That's that's just a Trojan horse because there's no real reason for that to happen because they could easily have fought to have a civil union. A civil union was totally great, but to try to redefine marriage, that's, as I said, it's not about marriage.
Well, they took it to another level now, though. Here's the next level that they took it to is that men can have babies.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and if you don't believe that,
yeah.
then you are a
You're the
hateful
problem,
person.
right?
You hate everybody
Yeah.
because you won't. And I said, well, I don't hate anybody, but I just know that throughout the 8 billion years, no man has ever. Now, if you
No,
can show me a
no,
man who's had a baby,
right.
ah, maybe I'll
I
go there.
listen.
But dude,
I'll
so
be curious.
let me ask you a question. As you said, you go, I was a Democrat because that's what we did, right? I mean, that's what we were in the South. Why? Why do you see still 80% of the black men and 95% of black women voting Democrat regardless? It's like vote blue no matter who, and then you see the far left,
Yeah,
white, blue, green,
yeah,
whatever, that the far progressive movement. It's all
yeah,
about vote blue no matter who.
yeah,
Why are
yeah.
they so why are they so
Well, this is
locked in?
th- th- um, you saw some of my material, and I got a podcast coming out this week, and it's going to touch on that because this is quote unquote MLK's birthday week. Um, I looked into the mirror, and the problem was me. Um, we're the problem. Um, when you go back and look at the the history of the political parties in our country and the effects that in general politics have played in the lives of Negro Americans, there is no logical reason for blacks to be voting Democrat. So if that's the case, so you guys look at it's not logic and it's not reason. So only thing that's left is emotion. So if it's emotion, how did we get here? I look at because before the 1930s, you couldn't find a black Democrat nowhere. It didn't exist. Um, it wasn't until my opinion, based on reading, when the Klan was created by the Democrat Party and you had Reconstruction and you had those 7 initial black men be elected to Congress as Republicans, and you had a lot of states, even in the South, controlled by blacks during Reconstruction. The political power was going to the Republicans and going to blacks in the South. Democrats had to stop that. They stopped that by unleashing the Klan on the blacks, not just blacks, but Republicans in general. It's about politics, it's about power. So after the Republicans moved out of the South because of the agreement that they made, they able to come back in and gain control through fear. So then you come up to the election of um not FDR, but Woodrow Wilson, the man who actually had a movie about the Klan in the White House. That guy. So
That
the
guy.
that guy,
That guy.
Democrat. So the powers in the black community went to him and asked, if we give our vote to you, will you put a collar on the Klan and help us out of this economic, because it was economic depression at the time too. Of course he said yes. Of course he didn't mean it. He got elected and life was worse off for the blacks. So then came FDR, another economic downturn. Blacks went to him looking for help. He says, of course, I'll help you if you give me your vote. That's what happened. In both cases, huge economic events, negative economic events, that the black community went to the man that looking to get in the White House, who was already in the White House. You had a social battle between the ideology of Booker T. Washington and W. E. Du Bois. W. E. Du Bois was not American. Let's start there. And he believed in the small group telling the big group what to do. Booker T wanted to empower the big group, that means the populace, to be educated, to be self-sufficient, get your mind right, get your money, your economy right, then go to the table. That was his philosophy. So you had that battle going on in the black community. Again, the economic environment won out. So W. Du Bois won. Blacks lost.
Yeah.
So ever since then, it's been building. So then you had LBJ. I mean, what can you say about him? Nothing, nothing I see.
You can say a lot of shit about LGB,
Yeah,
but
you
none of
you
it's
can say a lot
good.
of shit about him. That's for sure. You can say that. His stamp is on the epidemic of single parent households in the black community.
Yep.
You cannot see what is the scourge of single parent households in the black community and not see LBJ. People don't understand that. So back to your question, there's no logical reason for blacks to be 80% Democrats, because every black person I talk to, I ask them, what can you tell me Democrat Party has done for us economically? Not just the feel good, MLK Day, with that law passed under a Republican Congress. People don't want to admit that it was a Democrat Party Congress. It was a Republican Party Congress. It was a Democrat ahead of that, but it was a Republican Congress. And politically expedient for Kennedy to do that also. But if you look at where we were in the 1960s and where we are today, we've gone backwards. Economically, socially, all together. The family was stronger in the 1960s. Family was stronger in the 1930s than we are now.
Yeah.
And it's all because of LBJ in 1960s and the Democrat Party.
You know, the Planned Parenthood movement, where it just seems like the percentage of black babies that are aborted over white babies is astronomical.
Oh, it is.
It's just
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like, how is that a good thing? Yeah, please tell me how that's a good thing. It's not a good thing. And that's completely a Democrat backed institution. I mean, it's Planned Parenthood. It's crazy. I mean, it may have started as a good idea, give teenagers, birth control and do this, but it's
No,
completely gone off the rails.
if you read about Margaret Sanger,
Mhm.
nothing about her is good. So
And that's Hillary Clinton's idol.
yeah,
Hillary
yeah, yeah,
loves Sanger,
yeah.
man.
The Democrat Party loves Margaret Sanger.
Yeah.
So Planned Parenthood was nothing was gonna come good from that, because the president who created that was coming from no good in regards to what we should call the undesirables,
Yeah.
that that
Now,
that be minorities and blacks.
what do we need? What can we do? Um, I had a really great conversation over the weekend. Like I mentioned, I was in Washington, D.C. Um, Great group of people, man. I mean, it was every race, color, creed, everything, man. And I found myself in a great group. There was a whole bus of from a black church came up from Nebraska that came
Nebraska.
from the inauguration. We had so much fun. These ladies,
Ugh.
it was like 90% women too. They were screaming,
Wow.
yelling. We were whooping it up. And when that Reverend, I just got goosebumps when Reverend Lorenzo Sewell did his thing. Oh man, we were all weeping. We were all crying. But I had this conversation. They were so honest, loving. We were hugging, and it's like, what are you doing here, and why are you such a minority in the group, and what can we do? And then listen, there might be some great Democrats. I mean, maybe Clinton did some good things. I don't know, but what can we do moving forward, Tony, to stop this? Get people out of lockdown housing. I mean, basically, the black community living in these projects and maybe not having a dad around, the kids just not having opportunities. They instead of looking up at a Dr. Carson, they look up at Diddy. It's just like, what can we do?
My pa used to say, we ain't all gonna make it. And we're not all gonna make it. Um, it's gonna take an enema, basically. Because when you look and see what happened during COVID,
Mhm.
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, who could have
Wow.
saw that coming? Um, Americans literally bent over and spread their cheeks and said, "Do it to me."
Yep.
And I didn't take the shot. And if you listen to my recordings, um, when that thing came out, I said, "This dog don't hunt."
Mhm.
Because none of it made sense.
Mhm.
None of it made sense. None of it made sense.
Nope.
So
And
I,
now the head guy gets an
yes,
unconditional pardon out the
yes,
gate. Fauci
yes,
gets a pardon
yes,
out the gate.
and nobody's saying anything.
Nobody.
Nobody's saying anything.
You don't hear about. It's like it never happened.
Yeah,
It's like, wait
yeah,
a minute. The
that's the
dude
problem.
who we were supposed to trust, people are burning candles to the guy,
Yep,
praying about Dr.
yep,
Fauci. He's
yep,
saving everybody.
yep.
Why does he need a complete blanket pardon? Anybody got an
Ask
idea?
the question why. Uh, and that's our problem. So when you ask what do we need to do? I mean, when you have people willing to just bend over and spread your cheeks like that, that's a you problem. Um, and it's gonna be a few of us, like maybe the people around you, a couple people around me, but when when they come off the hill and they come with the pitchforks, you better have somebody that got a gun. Because what happened during, in my humble opinion, what happened during COVID, it's going to happen again. And it's fortunately, Trump looks like he's going to be at the gates for that now. But he got 2 years, 4 years good. There's only one Trump. There's only one DeSantis. Who else is out there? As I listened to Steve Dace and on the Blaze, and he's good at saying we don't have a movement. We do not have a movement. The Democrats, they got an ideology. It's not about the person. It's not even about their persona, because they got somebody in Philadelphia who was basically, he had a stroke. They had to wheel him in. They don't care about the person. They care about the ideology. Are you going to move forward our ideology, which is um, um, no God, give me all your wealth from my neighbor, and don't impose any kind of responsibility on me. That's their ideology. They don't care about who's pushing it. We don't have an ideology. We believe in God. we we believe in you do you, let me be me. We have that. So we have a more of a hands-off, faith-based. We believe that we gonna put the right man or woman in office to pursue or push our beliefs, but you don't see that happening. But on top of that, you don't see us coming forward and making that person who doesn't be held accountable. So long as that happens and we still believe in the Democratic Republic or representative republic, but nobody's representing us, but yet they still get our vote, again, there's no consequence for them going against our beliefs. So when Trump goes, when DeSantis goes, who's there? We hope Vance is cutting the mold of Trump, but we don't really know him. He sound good on the campaign trail, but how long he been in office?
Not
Just
very
like
long.
his first term.
Yeah.
So again, when you ask, at the end of the day, it's up to us individually. I hate when I hear people say that the military is defending our freedom. That's so inappropriate. And it's not fair to the men and women who are out there protecting the sex, protecting the guy and the girl in front of them and behind them on the side of them. That's their duty to go do their job and come back home. It's not to protect my freedom. That's what I'm there to do for. So the fact that we don't take that responsibility on ourselves to know what our rights are and how to defend them, as Reagan said, it takes one generation, and we long past that with Bakan.
Yeah. And it's really horrific what's happened to the military in the last 4 years. I mean, it is the lowest morale probably since Carter, maybe before Carter. I mean, when was the last time that our military lost so many people, such a low enlistment? I mean, no one wanted to defend what was happening in the last 4 years. No one even knew what they were defending anymore. It came down to what exactly am I defending here? A man's right to have a baby? What am I defending? And why am I going to put myself at risk in all this bullshit wars that shouldn't even been going on? I mean, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars in Ukraine while our infrastructure is just
Yeah,
collapsing? I
yeah,
mean, it's complete madness. Who gets that money? What are they doing with that money? Why is there no accounting for that stuff? So these men and women go, I'm not going to go over there and fight in Ukraine. Are you out of your mind? For what?
yeah, 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 yeah. At the same time, there wasn't any slight hint of a populist groundswell to say what you're doing to our men and women in the military is wrong, Biden. Anybody who going on with your policy, Biden, we're gonna make sure they get out of office. None of that happened. So what happened to the guys in the military? Again, we are good to give lip service. Yeah, thank you for our service, which I hate because I'm quite sure. 'Cause my dad was in the military. I'm quite sure they hate hearing that because all they know, you don't really mean that.
Yeah.
Because you haven't done anything to protect my six here at home against this man who making me surrender my rights to get a experimental jab in my body that no one has any idea what's going to do to my body by putting it in there. But I don't hear you at all going to your congressman trying to protect my rights. So yeah, it's the problem is us.
And what happened to my body, my choice? Right? It was my
Right.
body, my choice until the government decided to say, you better take this jab or we're locking you down. You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your freedom.
Yeah.
We're going to tell
Yeah.
your neighbors to keep an eye on you that if you leave or have more than so many people, we're going to turn you in. You better wear that mask. I mean,
Yeah.
there what the freedom. was taken from us. I got a question
Wasn't
for you.
taken.
So
It
who
wasn't taken. It wasn't taken. No,
and we
I
gave
had
it
to
up.
push back. It
We
was
gave it up.
given. It was
Yeah,
surrendered. It was
we gave it up.
surrendered by the people on the silver platter. It wasn't even a fight. At least in Europe, you do see people marching.
Yeah.
We couldn't get two people to march.
Yeah.
You
No.
know, and
No,
then
there were protesters out there for sure, but they weren't protesting the jab. They were
no,
protesting. They were throwing Mazel Tov cocktails at building. They were turning over police cars,
yeah,
but they
yeah,
weren't protesting the jab at
no,
all, right?
no.
So let me ask you, we know that Biden, and it's going to come out more and more. I can't wait till all the books start coming out and these guys on the inside start getting $8-10 million deals to write the book on what really was going on. That all that
Mhm.
stuff's going to start coming out about Biden.
Hopefully.
So who was running the place while Biden was asleep at the wheel? Because we know he was never in charge of anything.
That's a real good question. I mean, at the end of the day, that there is a power behind the power, and then this started with Biden. It became more apparent, but the the problem was that nobody really cared.
Yeah.
It was literally it was a joke. It was a running joke. It's particularly on conservative side and conservative media. It was a joke. I'm like, how's this funny? I mean, in what other prior generation would this be funny? But yet we treat it as a joke. I mean, him getting elected in the first place was a joke. Him jailing what over 1,500 Americans just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time at the Capitol with no real investigation on really what really happened, how it happened, and who's responsible for it happening. No real investigation. So, what's the consequence? And to ask who's running it, it's not the president. It never is, never was, because that there's I think it was uh uh it might have been, I want to say, I forget his name, House Speaker back in the day with Newt Gingrich. He said
Mm.
if the policies of the government doesn't change with the change of the administration, that's a hint of a conspiracy. So if we just go by that simple math, the path of the country hasn't changed. It may change a little bit based on the personality of the president, but the course of the country as a whole, in my humble opinion, hasn't changed because we're still in a race to the bottom. Because there's no real reason why we should be in the situation that we are in, being the greatest country on the planet, not just because of our, well, first because of our constitution, but secondly because of the um, salad of people, different ideas, different cultures, different personalities coming together like no other country has access to. The the brain power of thought, different thoughts. There's no reason how we should be in situation, decrepit situation that we are in, having all this at our fingertips, all the positive, all the energy. Um, there can only be one explanation because it was designed to be this way. That's why I use the word orchestrated decline. Because it is orchestrated. It's not by accident. It's not natural.
You know,
Progress is it's like when you have a child and you teach that child not necessarily what to do, but what not to do based on your experience. And then they do that, and they do that, and they do that. It's just so if that's the case, if everybody was doing that, we should be way ahead of everybody else. But yet we're going back. We got kids that can't tell time on a regular clock. They can't write cursive. They can't add with their hands. They got to do by the, the computer. That's regression, and that's by design.
you look at Baltimore. You look at the graduation rates in Baltimore are so bad that they've decided that they've got to change the curriculum and continue to lower it and lower it and lower it, because if no one's graduating at
Yeah.
all, the
Yeah.
only answer, instead of fixing the school and getting kids to get a better education, is to just lower the
The
curriculum
standards.
so
Yeah.
that they don't.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you brought up Newt Gingrich and also who's running the place, because probably I remember Reagan and Tip O'Neill worked really well together. President, Republican president, Democratic speaker,
Hmm. Famous.
And then Newt Gingrich, Republican Speaker of the House, and Clinton worked really well together. But that's 30 years ago now. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a government that functioned together, right? I mean, these
Hmm.
guys have been adversarial forever. There hasn't been a House Speaker that's worked with the other party to get things done for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And
Been a while.
the other thing that you mentioned on that I think we all always know, right, that the government is a machine that just runs, right? Because people are there for 30 years. Presidents come and go every 4 years, maybe 8 years. We always kind of knew that, but it didn't expose itself hard until Trump got in there and he
Deep state.
realized, I can't do shit. I can't do
Hmm.
anything. I
Yeah.
literally can't. I can't do anything
Right.
because the
Right.
machine is doing everything. And I think what's interesting is this time he came in and said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to break the machine.
Well, let's see.
Let's see, right?
Let's see. I mean, what is it? It's like day two. I
Yeah.
mean, we all got our hopes and wishes. Let's see. Let's
Yeah.
see. I mean, to think that he got back into office without going to somebody and to get forgiveness and get instructions, you're lying to yourself. Because they worked so hard to get him out. They to let him back in to put another wrench into my work. No, no. He's better than the alternative, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
So whose ring did he have to kiss to get back in the White
that's
House?
the question.
Right?
That is the question. I mean, because logically, they they turn water into mud to get him out of office. I mean, somebody got to explain to me who told anybody to turn the switch off where counting of ballots just stopped for like 5 hours. Nobody cares. It's not
Nobody
a big
cares.
deal. It happens all the time, right?
And you know why no one cares? Because Rachel or Joy or Anderson Cooper or Wolf Blitzer, one of these guys parade out there all pretty and go, "Hey, hey, hey, no, 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 don't look over there. No, no, no,
Yeah,
look,
right,
look
right,
over
right,
here.
right.
Don't look at what's going on over there.
Yeah.
We'll tell you what's
Don't ask no
happening.
questions about it. Yeah,
Don't ask any
yeah,
questions, right? We've
yeah,
got this handled. We'll tell you what you need to think,
yeah,
what you need to
yeah,
know, what you need to believe."
yeah.
And the media, I mean, they did a thing. I don't know if it was TikTok or if it was Instagram or one of these others, but they did a study to show how they can prove that they can get 10 kids to commit suicide. Did you hear about that study they did?
Oh,
This was crazy, right? So they started
wow.
with like, I don't know, 10,000 kids, and they just searched their algorithms or whatever the algorithm or whatever those things are called to see who is the most depressed. And they narrowed it down there, and then they found these kids that were like really depressed and, oh, woe is me and all this stuff. So they started sending them messages like, you're right, you're not worthy, or girls, they'd fake girls, AI picking on them, and get
Mhm.
these people down that rabbit hole where they were ready to just take their own lives. They proved how easily it was to manipulate these kids. Now, thank God they stopped it before these kids, but I mean,
Okay.
how horrifying is it, right? That so easily we could be manipulated by the social media, by the news media, by family and friends like that, where we've stopped thinking. And that's why I love your why, right? I mean, we've stopped asking why. Why did the pandemic show up right when it did? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do this?
Yeah.
Why doesn't anybody care what happened in Wuhan? Why did they say it came from some dude eating a bat and the next thing you know, everyone's dying around the world? Why? Why? Why did this stuff happen? No
Yeah.
one's allowed to
Yeah.
ask why.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, it's um when you go back and look at the pivotal times in our most recent history, say JFK, a president that got assassinated in broad daylight, and the media and government was able to convince many of us that one man did all of this, you know, and never mind that there was a subsequent very public and famous case that came after that that proved that he wasn't by himself. But nobody talked about that case.
Nope.
And then came the World Trade Centers coming down.
Mhm.
Now I started live. I was on my phone with my cousin. I said right away, that's demolition. We all see demolition regular basis. We used to see, the dome go down, like in New Orleans or whatever. We used to see the demolition on TV all the time. We know what it looks like. That's what that was.
You
That's what
trying to
that was.
tell
I
me
don't care what nobody else say. My
uh,
eyes don't lie to me because intelligently, logically, when something that tall get hit up here, that piece go that way, or wherever the inertia goes. That's just you ain't gotta tell me that that's how that goes.
I can
But
almost
all the way in this instance, that didn't happen.
yeah, you can
Everything went
almost
straight down.
right. You can almost get me to believe that the two towers went down. You can almost get me to believe that, right? But there's no way on the planet that
There was
you get
a
me to
five.
believe that seven, that
Was
building
it seven?
seven,
Okay.
seven just goes like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
didn't get hit by anything.
No. No.
Nothing built,
Nothing.
and then you just see
Nothing.
flashes, boom, boom, boom. Shoot.
Yeah.
Now I've seen 20 casinos in Las Vegas get demoed, right? They do it all the time. It's like a big party. They watch
Yeah.
demolition
Yeah.
parties
Yeah.
in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Building 7, there is no way. I'm sorry. I could wrap my brain around a thousand gallons of plain fuel taking down a 100-story building. Not, I don't believe it,
No. No. No.
but
How?
maybe I could. But building 7, no way.
I got to be looking a long time for me even to believe that liquid fuel is going to go from what 170 floors or whatever it was, because we go on floors every day. Many of us do in high rises or whatever. You got doors, you got stairwell, you got all of these encumbrances that is going to slow down or whatever with liquid anything. But you want me to believe that jet fuel got from the height or wherever that plane hit to the bottom during that period, and it caused everything to come down straight down, not to the left, not to the right, not forward, not back, straight down. You want me to believe that? No, dog. No,
No, no, no,
no,
no.
no.
And and a building that doesn't even get hit, a building that's just standing there.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
went down too.
if one of the towers fell on it and knocked it over,
Yeah, I can
maybe
see
or
that.
something, but the damn thing's just standing there, and all of a sudden it just
Just,
falls
why
perfectly
not?
flat.
Everybody else doing it.
I'm sorry. It's just
Yeah, all right,
you just can't you can't. I'll believe a lot of stuff, baby, but I'm
all
not
right.
gonna believe that. So so
So
you've been
then
awesome.
we get
We
to the
gotta
election.
yeah
It's
we
the
gotta
same thing.
yeah. We gotta be wrapping this up. You've been
Okay,
awesome. I just wish we had some more time, but so I'm gonna ask you one last question, and we'll probably have to do another one of these because you've got too much to
appreciate
talk
that. Yeah,
about. If you could wave a wand and just go, hey man, I'm gonna fix this because I love, like you say repeatedly, you love this country, man. You love this country. I love this country. I love my family. I love my children. Just had my second grandchild was born yesterday.
Congratulations.
I love this country. What can we do? I mean, what can we do to try to get back on track?
In reality or just a wish?
Either one. Either one.
In
You let me
reality,
know.
we're screwed. In reality, we're screwed. I mean, the inertia is too great. America that we once knew is gone. Now there'll be areas of the country, like I'm here in the South. I love here in the South. So I believe that there'll be pockets, communities where people need to get back in touch with their elected official that you see every day. Get in touch with your neighbor, learn how to shoot guns. Not that you want to go against the government, no. But when this shit hit the fan, you need to make sure the people who didn't do what they're supposed to do don't come and be an issue for you.
Mhm.
Because we all seen movies, your neighbors who didn't prepare, now they're looking at you.
Mhm.
So our country is never going to be what it once was because the inertia of ignorance is too great. So we got to start back over with our neighbor, with our family, with our person next door, our community, and work our way out.
I love that, Tony. That's a great spot to end because it's the truth, man. I mean, it starts with us and it starts at home. It starts with our children. It starts being prepared. It starts with asking why, right? And if we can all come together, maybe there's a shot. But
And
if we
read,
don't,
and read,
yeah,
read, read.
pick up a book. You got books, I got books. Pick up a damn book and read,
Yeah,
or do some research. Read
yeah,
Tony's
yeah.
blog.
Ask why. It starts
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So, real quick before we go, where can everybody go and find Tony? Where can we find all your stuff, man?
You can find me on my podcast, Project Third Eye Open .com. That's project the third spelled out, the letter I open. You can find me on Twitter under Three Eye Open. You can find me on Rumble, Project Third Eye Open, spelled out. And yeah, drop me a line. Definitely follow me. Do all the little things that's supposed to be doing social media. Yeah, I'm there,
I
definitely.
love it. You're there and you're doing your job. You're doing what you can. We just all
Yeah,
got to do what we can. So, all right, everybody. You just got exposed to Tony L. He is awesome, man. He's doing the work. He's putting it in. He's going to try to save us. And look up for Tony and look into his stuff. He's got some great stuff there. So, thank you for tuning in, Tony. Thank you for being here, but I really appreciate it.
thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.